All right, so this is my first sample of the DEHONG teas. These are wild tea trees, from my understanding. Not a very well-known place in Yunnan province, and so a lot of the tea trees are literally just like wild, and people go out and they pick the tea leaves and they process them. This is also a different varietal as well. It's typically purple tea, or purple tea leaves rather, and so it makes a very pretty bouquet. The last time I had this tea, and so really curious to see what this one is going to bring. So this is the 2011, and so what I did was I went and basically just grabbed everything I could from Yunnan sourcing. That was DEHONG tea. I also got some DEHONG tea from another source, and so that's on its way. So gonna start the sampling process. This is the cold brew, and that's how I really enjoy my aged Pu'erh is cold brew. But of course, if it is good brewed hot, then I'll definitely indulge. The color is as expected. It's going to be kind of a dark brown. It has a lot to do with not only the roasting but also the age. Really excited about the smell on this thing. It was smoky, and that's about it on the dry leaf. I wish I could say it was kind of a sweet smokiness, but not really. It's more just like smoky. Definitely smells like aged. You know what I mean? A little bit like leather. And I really like that sort of a whiskey kind of thing going on. And so that's the liquor. Really clean. I'd say light activity. It's not completely clear, but there's not a lot of activity in there. Yeah, I like this one. It's smoky. It is a bit darker than what I prefer, but not bad. The other thing is I'm using a lot of material here. This is almost 10 grams. I didn't measure, but it's got to be somewhere near 10 grams because the sample pack was 25 grams, and I try to, half in it, right? But again, I really do like this. It's refreshing, nice smoky flavor. There's a bit of green on the back end, and it is sweet, but it's not sugar sweet. It's not fruity sweet. It's not floral sweet. So I'm really not sure how best to describe the sweetness, but it's definitely not savory. And that's the reason why I have to say sweet, because it's not savory. There's no umami going on. There's no spinach flavor. This is subtly sweet. Yeah, smoky sweet. I didn't want to say that, but I don't have a choice. It's smoky and it is sweet. I just can't really, compare it to the typical, like I said, fruit or floral or any of those things. It's really good. I like it. All right, so this is what the dry leaf looks like, the cake. Can't really see any colors in this thing yet. Some of the tea cakes from DEHONG had really pretty colors on the dry leaf. And the one that I had before, which I'm really glad I didn't go back and look because I don't want to bias myself. I really want to taste through these and find the one that I prefer. But yeah, really, really solid cake. And for me, that means that this is going to yield some varying flavors, I'm sure. You can kind of see a little bit of color on that one. But yeah, really excited about this. I'm going to rinse this in really hot water just very quickly here. And then I'm going to cool off my water. I'm not going to do the typical tasting that I do with like hot water, but I know that this tea prefers cooler water temps, and so I'm just going to go there right away. See if I can get this to temp. See, we're at 127. 127 is good enough, I think. All right. Now, the one thing that I really don't remember, because I purposely did not go back to look at the last video I did with the Dehong, I don't remember steeping times. What I do remember, however, is having a wonderful, wonderful time on my lanai that day, just running through steeps. I did read a few reviews on this tea, and one person said exactly what I said when I first tasted it, which is, if I have to say anything bad about it, is that it doesn't last very long. You know, I ran through those steeps within one session, and that's not typical for me, you know. But it was really good, and that's the thing. Like, I wasn't really sure if I ran through all those steeps because it was so good. Because I remember just pouring, and it seems to me that the longer I waited, the cooler the water got, and the longer my steep times, and it was just a great session. I'll never forget that day. All right, so I'm gonna pour this off now. Now, typically the purple teas can be a bit strong, and you can overbrew them. Because the cake is so compact, so that's after a rinse in the first steeping. Because it's so tightly pressed, that I think it's going to be very hard to overbrew this thing right away. Yeah, so again, smoky sweet, a hint of some sort of like barbecue wood, you know, a hint of that. But again, like a sweet barbecue, you know, like maybe a sweet hickory wood, you know. Again, I really like it. I really do. All right. So, very light brew. Very light brew. And as you saw, that was almost a minute, right? At 130 Fahrenheit. Not bad. Definitely on the lighter side. But again, just same, you know, subtle sweetness, smokiness that I really like. One thing I have to say that I don't necessarily care for is that there's just no bitterness at all, like none. And I do like a little bit of bitterness, just enough to, you know, tingle my tongue. And this one just doesn't have that at all. So I'm going to try to steep this as long as I possibly can. I'm going to agitate the water. I'm going to break this cake up a little bit. and see what I can get out of this thing so that I can enjoy it with dinner. But yeah, I have I forget, I have maybe six or seven different teas from DEHONG, and hopefully the other pack gets here soon, so that I can taste through those as well. I think that'll be an additional like 3 or 4. And so yeah, so my thinking on this is that because these are going to be, I'm assuming they're going to be all pretty much the same. If there's any big differences, I'll be surprised. You know, I'll be really surprised if there's any big differences. But yeah, again, smoky, sweet, no bitterness, really light brew. I'm actually going to heat up the water just a bit more to see. Well, I'm going to pour the second one out first. Agitate the water a little bit. See what we're looking like. So as you can see, the cake is still not broken up. And that's after I prodded it a little bit. So it was just very tightly pressed. All right, so let's pour this off. And then I'm going to heat. Actually, you know what? I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna hit this thing with hot water. Fairly hot. It's gotta be close to 160, 170. And let's see what happens. I don't think I can overbrew this. Yeah, so again, really light brew, and that's, you know, that was for more than a minute, I'm sure. A little bit of material in the glass, not a whole lot, nothing that I'm really concerned about. But yeah, a really nice sweet smoky thing going on. And so I'm using much hotter water and really trying to get this cake broken up here. Really agitating this thing to see if I can just get more out of this tea. That is one characteristic that I do like about teas as well, is that, you know, I don't have to think too hard about brewing parameters, and I really can just enjoy myself. You know what I mean? There is a tea that I do like. It's a Kenyan purple tea, and that one you have to be on your toes. You know, you cannot just let it sit because it will turn into medicine real fast. But pretty much any other tea that I frequent is pretty easy brewing as far as, you know, forgiveness goes. All right, that's as much as my patience will allow. Yeah, and just nothing at all on the nose. And I think I remember that from the last video I did with DEHONG. I'm probably gonna go back and watch it soon. I don't know if I'm going to do it right away because I do want to, like I said, I don't want to bias myself. But yeah, I don't think that one had much of an aroma either. Interestingly, though, the dry leaf had a nice smoky aroma versus a lot of the other aged pu'erhs I've tried. Didn't have much of an aroma at all. And so yeah, I mean, even with warmer temperatures, same thing. Again, easy drinking tea. You know, if I was serving tea to someone who's never had tea before, I'll have to explain to them the smoky nature of what's going on here. But if there's someone that enjoys a smoky mezcal or a smoky whiskey or something like that, then I think they will definitely enjoy this. Again, it's very easy drinking, very easy brewing. No bitterness at all, like none, which is really sort of mind blowing for me. Um, and it there's no weird aftertaste or anything. I have to say, I do enjoy the cold brew. Cold brew is really good. The hot brew uh, didn't do it for me. It's not bad, but definitely not knocking my socks off. So that's it. I'm gonna continue drinking through this, and really curious to see whether or not this cold brew can go more than um, two infusions. I don't think it will, but I'm gonna try. Just see what happens. If it does, I'll be very surprised, and that'll definitely give this tea another point in the favorite category. From me to you, I holla.